This summer, meet the magical mermaid at VGP Marine Kingdom from April 12th to May 31st.
Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. A group of 120 civil society organizations have written an open letter to all the ROs, that is, the returning officers of the country, to ensure free and fair elections, as questions are being raised on the neutrality and fairness of the Election Commission of India. This open letter was planned at a conclave in Bangalore, which happened on 21st of May, in which the India Alliance partners, along with the civil society organizations, that is 120 civil society organizations, they took part. And there is a follow-up conclave tomorrow in Delhi. So what does this open letter to all the returning officers of the country mean? What can it really ensure? What are the questions which are being raised by these retired bureaucrats and the civil society groups? Joining me now is a very special guest, MG Devasahayam, who's a retired IS officer. He's been on various positions, and he's also a member of the organizing committee of this particular conclave, which is set in. And tomorrow we have another event in Delhi. Mr. Devasahayam, it's wonderful to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
And my first, you're welcome, sir. And my first question to you is that, sir, what is this open letter which has been written to the returning officers of the country, and what does it really talk about?
Yeah, let me give you a little background. People like us are deeply rooted in the Constitution of India. I have been an officer in the Indian Army and before joining the Indian Administrative Service, and I have served during emergency, before emergency, during emergency, and after emergency. I am a 64 vintage character. So that time we saw democracy being taken over by autocracy briefly for 2 years, and people rising as one man and voting democracy back in 1977. You people are too young, you may not have experienced it, but we have experienced it. That's a rare occasion that happened. You know, India's greatest gift, we believe, that democracy, nothing else. Everything else comes. Technology comes and every development comes. That takes place. But democracy is a system wherein people live as individuals in dignity. And that's the rarest of rare gift that we have today, 1.4 billion people. So we cannot afford to lose that. So again, we find, and I was part of the electoral process in 1977, which ushered in a change. And I know because I participated, I was then a returning officer as district magistrate of Chandigarh. And there was free and fair election. Because of that, people could change. At the end of the day, democracy is the will of the people. That is democracy. So now I see at age 80 plus, I see the same kind of situation, that there is autocracy overtaking democracy, and people have a chance to express their will, whether they want this autocratic situation to continue or they want the real democracy back. We have no political stakes. We have stakes only in democracy. So if the people want to change, want to go back to democracy and live like dignified citizens, then their will has to prevail. For their will to prevail, the election has to be meticulously free and fair. Free and fair. There are several dimensions. I don't want to go into that. Everyone understands the word free and fair election. We find, because people who have background of elections, we find we have been observing the situation for the last about 5 years, particularly in the last 1 year or so, and more so in the recent months and weeks, that the election was not going in a fair and free manner. And we have been appealing repeatedly as civil servants, former civil servants, as civil society. We have been repeatedly knocking at the gate of our own juniors who now constitute the Election Commission of India.
Mr. Devasahayam, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I'll just complete.
But Mr. Devasahayam, what makes you feel that the elections are not free and fair. You said that you've observed this in recent months, that the election process is not free and fair. What are those instances? Why do you feel so?
Yes, there are three major dimensions. Election free and fair means manipulations are possible, manipulation of the election system, and manipulation of the mind. And these three manipulations are distinctly happening in the last few months, rather last few years. Manipulation of the machine, the system, is through the possible manipulation of the electronic voting machine. And manipulation of the system is possible manipulation of the electoral roll. And manipulation of the system means the manipulation of the counting process. Manipulation of the mind is through the kind of communal poison, the kind of hate speeches, the kind of media control, one-sided media, propaganda. All these have tremendous impact on the minds of the people and also the electoral process. And all these have been brought to the notice of the
Election
Election Commission of
Commission,
India.
if you hear Rajiv Kumar has been saying that there is no manipulation of the data. Then Rajiv Kumar's, Election Commission of India's counsel inside the Supreme Court also said that there is no reason why we should doubt the election. That is what they have been telling the Supreme Court.
We have to be scientific. We have to base ourselves with empirical data. So we set up a Citizens Commission on Elections, headed by a former Supreme Court judge, a man of very high integrity, Justice Madan Lokur. Then we had a set of people, academics and others, as members of the commission, and an outstanding technocrat like Professor Subhashis Banerjee. At that time, he was IIT Delhi. Now he is with Ashoka University, an outstanding computer professional. And he put together an international team, EVM. An international team was put together to analyze. They said, we will not go into the technology part because democracy is not technology. Let us look at the machine as the way it is functioning. So they analyzed it and gave a unanimous verdict. Because the India's electronic EVM voting system does not have end-to-end verification, meaning thereby in a democracy, in an election, it's a sovereign. Citizen is a sovereign. The sovereign is transferring her vote, and when she transfers her vote, she must have the knowledge. She must have the knowledge, not the machine, that her vote has been cast as intended, recorded as cast, and counted as recorded. Basic fundamental democracy principles, end-to-end verifiability. The experts, the international experts, the best brains in the world, they pronounce under these criteria, India's EVM system is unfit for democratic elections. Very clearly, very categorically, unfit for democratic elections. Outstanding professionals. And they gave 3-4 suggestions. 1, 2, 3, 4. You please improve this system as it is. We don't want to go back to the paper ballot. Paper ballot had this facility, end-to-end verifiability. They gave 4 recommendations.
What I want to know from you is that what is
this is very important. Let me just complete. This is very important because you raised a very important question. Why are we doubting this thing? So they gave 4 specific and very doable sort of solutions way back 3 years ago. And this report was sent to the Election Commission of India. They did not even read it. They did not even look at it. They did not even bother to call us to have a discussion. And our technology, let me tell you one thing, our technology people were far, far superior to the technology team that Election Commission has. So now then, on the 16th of March, I'll just finish up this question. On the 16th of March, when the election was announced, he was linking love song. He is making a love song to the EVMs. Share ga raha tha EVM ko. That kind of chief election commissioner that we have, completely partisan. It's not even open mind to discuss the possibilities of improvement. They say our way or the highway. He has no right to talk about this. He is the one who has destroyed the credibility of Election Commission of India. Sorry to say that.
But Mr. Devasahayam, what is the purpose which this letter now will really hold, with the open letter which you all have written to the returning officers? Now, if at all, I'm presuming, as what your letter shows, that maybe the vulnerable returning officers can come under pressure. That's what your letter clearly says. So you have addressed that letter to the
No,
returning
no,
officers.
no, no,
Do you
no.
think?
That was not the reason. That was not the reason. You see, I told you the various manipulative possibilities was capped by election commission's blunt refusal of releasing the data, voter turnout data. That was, I would call it, the last straw on the camel's back. They can do it. Okay, they may have 17C, but the reality is, we know many of the candidates do not have the 17C because, as is known to the election commission, they have to appoint at least 5,000 polling agents on the particular day, spending about 50 to 60 lakh rupees if they were to collect the 17C from every polling booth. Because parliamentary constituency in India is huge. So they know vast majority of the candidates, particularly the opposition party, do not have Form 17C. They have not been able to compile the total number of votes polled, so we can manipulate. So when they blocked this, refused to share this, our suspicions became confirmed. And then it was further confirmed by the stand they were taken in the Supreme Court. And the argument given out by their argument, abusing the Associates for Democratic Reforms. The people who are running them are very good, very close friends of mine, Jagdeep Chokar and Professor Tarlochan Shastri, men of impeccable integrity. And they were abusing them in the Supreme Court. This is not the way Election Commission behaves. So we thought that, listen, the Election Commission is closing the doors. They have closed the doors. But then who actually conducts the election? Now I'll come to your question. The election is conducted in every constituency by the returning officer, who is a member of the Indian Administrative Service, and supervised by observers going from other states. They are also of the IAS. They are the people who are running the show. They have 17C. They have the data. So we did not have any iota of doubt about them. Of course, some of them might be under pressure, but we appealed to them, saying that, please, now Election Commission is not giving the information. Please give this information to the candidates. And I am glad to say they have responded. Many of them have collected the data and they started compiling it. And Election Commission realized that they may be rendered redundant. So they also released the data day for yesterday.
Basically, you are saying that the returning officers, after the awareness campaign by all of you, have woken up, their conscience has woken up, they've started giving the Form 17C, and after which the Election Commission realized that things could backfire.
Not woken up. No, they were doing their job. This was supposed to be done by the Election Commission of India.
Right.
They didn't do it. Now they have realized that they got one more additional responsibility, and they are performing their responsibility. Yes.
Right. So now, what does the letter achieve at the end of the day? The letter, you've had a conclave in Bangalore. Now again, you are having another conclave in Delhi, for which you all are meeting tomorrow. So what does this letter ensure really now?
Letter is also, second part of letter is, one is giving the 17C and Form B, so that every candidate has got the actual authentic data regarding the votes polled. Second is, as you know, counting is the most critical of all the operations. Again, Election Commission has cast doubt by taking 80 days to go through the other processes and rushing the counting in 8 hours time, which is not at all necessary. So we have told them, for heaven's sake, do not rush the counting. Start, even if it takes time. First of all, sit down with your candidate and their agents, tally the total number of votes polled with 17C, and be sure what you are going to count. See, two type of counting takes place. One is the paper ballot counting, postal ballot. That's a small number. That has got a process. You have to count it in the presence of the candidate, videographed and all that you should do. Okay, that's one. We reiterated that advice. More important is, sit with the candidate, decide what you are going to count. Then start counting. Every time you count, switch on the result button, match it with 17C and what is in the EVM machine, the control unit. And then, even if the process takes time, go slow. Don't get excited. Because at the end of the day, counting and declaration of result is the final act based
But
which
sir, what is your
parliament
assessment?
is constituted.
Right. But what is your assessment? Can the returning officers come under any duress, any kind of pressure?
Quite possible. See, we have been watching with lot of concern. I sent you the latest return by the Constitutional Conduct Group, signed by
Yes.
102 former civil servants. See, we have other things to do. We are very much worried. We have been observing why we are writing this, because the institutions are being captured. See, Constitution set up certain institutions within the Constitution and outside the Constitution, because democracy depends upon institutions, not individuals. Individuals can anytime become autocratic. Individuals are undependable. Institutions are the stabilizing factors. They virtually captured all the institutions and made them important. I don't want to mention. That includes Election Commission of India. That includes various other, ED and CBI. You know about that. So when that has happened, what about the actually these returning officers? Most of them are young boys, young girls also. For me, they are young IAS officers. They can come under pressure. They will resist, but they can come under pressure. So we are holding their hand. They say, listen, don't come under any pressure. Perform your duty as per your oath to the Constitution, and see that people's mandate prevails. That's the objective.
So you are giving a moral support, a kind of a moral support, if at all there is some kind of a pressure, that they know that people like you or like your group, which is the Constitutional Conduct Group, is there to support them.
Yes, absolutely. The moral support. Yes, they need it.
Right.
They need it because stakes are very high, and lot of power mongers running around wild. So they need all the support they deserve. Yes.
But so, what is your worry? I mean, you said that, and the letter also very clearly says that there is empirical evidence to show that there is an effort to manipulate elections. If I can ask you one or two examples of how you think that the elections are being manipulated, what would be those examples?
I don't know whether you read my last article in the Wire. I have explained it in very detail, based on the research study done by Sabay Sakshi Das. I don't know
Right.
whether you heard about him.
Yes,
He was
yes.
an Ashoka University scholar. He had nothing to do with our group. He had nothing to do with our CCE. He is an independent assistant professor of economics. Took on his which is a research skill. Took upon it and made micro analysis of the voting and counting pattern, and came out with a clear understanding that in 2019 there were registration manipulation, deletion and addition of spurious voting section. That is registration manipulation, there was voting manipulation, and there was counting manipulation. And he says counting manipulation can be done two ways, voting and counting manipulation. Voter suppression, preventing people from voting. That has happened this time also. Registration suppression has happened this time. Voter suppression has happened this time. And during the counting, creating confusion, and also you can exaggerate and manipulate the electoral counting process. There, what he says is, even if the returning officers are doing it wrong, see, on the counting day, observers have got special powers to regulate what is happening in the counting, and these observers go from other states. He says he has been able to prove that observers who were deputed from BJP ruled state, particularly promotees who got promoted from state service to the IAS, they had external pressure, and some manipulation has taken place. So that is the thing that he has explained. Fourth is, what we are extremely worried about is EVM manipulation, because EVM, in order to prevent manipulation, we brought in VVPAT, voter verifiable paper audit trail. That means you have a electronic voting, two kind of votes now, electronic memory vote and also the paper slip vote. As per the rule, it's a paper slip which is a real vote. That's a rule. But election commission bluntly refusing to count the paper slip, refusing to count. And they gone to the Supreme Court, told
Supreme Court
find false.
also, but
No,
sir,
they false. Supreme Court,
Sir,
they false. Yeah, yes.
no, what I'm saying is that Supreme Court did not allow the 100% verification of the VVPAT. But
That's
now
what
they've
I'm
come up
coming.
with checks
That
and
is what
balances.
That is what I'm coming to it. And actually, I'll tell you, S.V. Qureshi, like my junior colleague and a good friend of mine, he was the chief election commissioner when VVPAT was introduced. He is repeatedly saying now that we have to cross verify. We have to do 100% verification of the paper slip. But election commission is refusing. That is what that gave us doubt, Now there is no scope for cross verification. The Supreme Court having pronounced the verdict, so there is more chance of counting manipulation. So all this put together, there was a big suspicion. That is why we took this initiative. Normally, we would not have taken
If
this.
at all what you're saying, that if at all there is a risk of manipulation, do you think that the returning officers can intervene and stop this manipulation?
No. Manipulation will take place right in front of their eyes by the counting agents. They can prevent it
Right.
by adopting the process. I just saw Mr. Kapil Sibal has come out with a chart telling the counting officials what needs to be done. So this procedure is strictly adopted, and they count in a very measured manner, in an organized, systematic, unhurried manner. This I won't say that manipulation can be completely eliminated, but it can be minimized so that it doesn't have the real impact on the final outcome of the election.
Right. Well, Mr. Devasahayam, my last question to you is that, of course, there is a risk of manipulation, and you did point out that there is a voting and counting manipulation, both that can happen, and you all are trying your level best to minimize this manipulation. Now, when you hear Mr. Rajiv Kumar, or when you hear any official of the Election Commission of India, and of course the lawyer of the Election Commission, when we heard him in the Supreme Court, they say that there is no reason to doubt, there is no reason to suspect. And in fact, Rajiv Kumar, when he came out after casting his vote on 25th of May, he said that, one day I will tell all of you who these people are who are misleading the country. So, what would you really say to this?
And then we published a book in 2022. Then I initiated, because there was no response from the Election Commission of India, I initiated a signature campaign. So 112 eminent civil servants and top technocrats, 112 former professors of IIT and everything. We sent a memorandum, asked the Election Commission 17 specific questions regarding EVM. Specific 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because several apprehensions. We thought that we were feeling very uncomfortable. Please tell us. They did not acknowledge my RTA application. 2020, I am talking about 2022. Then in October, then I gave the first appeal. They did not even acknowledge the first appeal. Then I filed the second appeal to the Central Information Commission. It came up in March 19th, it came up. And they went and appeared before the Central Information Commission, told lies. The Undersecretary, the CPIO, told brazen lies. And Amrita Johri, who represented me, you know her, a very active RTA activist. Yes. She blasted them out of shape because she knows the facts. And the Chief Information Commissioner passed severe stricture against the Election Commission. I can show it to you. Severe stricture. It was all in the news. And director will give me the information after 1 month. And after 1 month also, they just to apply the format, they tell me all these are in the FAQ. All these are in the manual. These fellows are unable to even reply to RTA, replied to 3-4 letters written by more than 100 civil servants who are miles senior to them. And this man who does a press conference and share love song to the EVM, he talks about the people like me behind. What is behind? Is behind him. He is a traitor, the man who has betrayed the people of India. And in fact, I had faith in him. When I was doing the RTI process, this fellow took over as the chief election commissioner. He gave a press interview, say that I am open, I will divulge everything, I will not keep anything, this thing, I will be this thing, blah 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 blah. So I wrote back, quoting his own quote, saying that you have said that you would like to disclose everything. Please answer this RTI question. Didn't even respond. What is the thing? Where do you think he is living in democratic India? You think we are all bunch of fools? You can cast any allegation and go away. This man has brought disrepute to the Election Commission of India, let me tell you. I'm sorry to say that.
But so my last question to you is that why do you think that there is this kind of a reluctance on the part of the Election Commission to not share things, to not reply, to not respond? Why do you think they are doing this?
I do not know. I am not a mind reader. But, I know something about logic. As you know, you must have heard of this. If something walks like a duck, croaks like a duck, it is a duck. Okay. So they are behaving in a manner which is suspicious. They have some hidden agenda of which they are party. I'll tell you one thing, your own media people. See, the convention is that they have a first press conference to notify the dates of the election. After that, after every stage, there's a press conference announcing the votes polled and the statistics, the data. If the chief election commission is not available, the election commission will be sitting there to do this, and every stages. This time, after 16th of March, there has not been a single press conference. Okay, that is one. Second, one more thing. They brought a global set of what do you call that, observers from 23 countries. Yes. This is something very interesting. I have not told this so far. Brought in 75 people, and they briefed them and made them our largest observers coming from all over the place. Blah 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 blah. They are going to observe the elections, and then after that they were sent out to 5-6 states. And I want to test them. To what extent they are genuine? They really want to, because an international group of observers coming must interact with the voters. They must interact with the civil society to listen to what they have to say before they take a view. If they have to only reproduce the views of the Election Commission of India, they don't have to come here at all. You can do it on email. So I tested it. Sitting in Bangalore, we prepared a memorandum saying that these are the deficiencies we find in the electoral process. We would like you to take note of that. So they didn't come to Bangalore. They went to one of the places they went to was Belgaum. So a small delegation immediately around the place, they rushed to Belgaum. The media people also were there. There were one or two senior media people also. They were in touch with me. They said, "Sir, we'll get hold of these people." And initially, the previous day, they had talked to the DC of Belgaum. He said, yes, tomorrow morning you can go and meet them. And next day morning when they contacted him, he was furious. He had a totally different frame. They said, Election Commission has shouted at me for allowing. They said, nobody is to be allowed. Nobody is to be allowed. They brought them in a sealed cover and protected this kind of thing, and then as if they protected tour and sent them back. That was the international. I'm sorry. Right. That was the global. That's the kind of way they're having conducting the election. One more thing I'll tell you. One more thing, let me tell you. Well before the election, we constituted a monitoring group, independent monitoring group of 4 people from India, 2 people from outside India, and we have been closely monitoring and reporting, sending a weekly report to the Election Commission of India. 2 major reports and weekly bulletins. Not even one they acknowledge. So what are they talking about? Election Commission of India. Are they still They're still living in imperial British Empire or Mughal Empire, or they're living in a democratic country. I don't understand at all.
But sir, towards the last, all I want to ask you is that people like you and the civil society groups which are holding this conclave, so you are sending out this message to the election commission that they are not above the board. There is somebody watching them very closely. There is a group which is watching each and every step of the election commission of India, right?
Yes, that is one part. The more important part is people are watching, not only we. At the end of the day, India democracy means the will of the people. You are all creatures of the Constitution. You have all owed allegiance to the Constitution of India, and we, the people, are the ones who created this Constitution. We are the people are the ones who gave you all these powers to exercise, and you are accountable to we, the people. That message should go very clearly. That's also an important part of the whole exercise.
Thank you, Mr. Devasahayam. It was wonderful talking to you. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
This summer, meet the magical mermaid at VGP Marine Kingdom from April 12th to May 31st.